Cade Cunningham has done everything in his power to keep this series alive, to keep this Detroit Pistons team alive, and he's done exactly that with a heroic, legendary performance that helps the Pistons escape and survive in this series with a big Game 5 win. Now, is that going to be enough to win this series? How can we keep Cade going? How can we get Duren going? How can this team take care of the ball? How can this team keep the Magic slowed down as much as possible to make it a real chance of beating them in Game 6 in Orlando? Because that's the big one. Beating Orlando in Game 6 is the big one. Can they pull that off? It's gonna be tough to do. It's going to be important that they clean some things up because it's not going to be as easy as Game 5 was. Magic came out lazy. That's what led to that early jump from the Pistons. A combination of Orlando laziness and Jalen Duren coming out with some fight. Because Duren jumped out to a quick 7 points, helped the Pistons get out in front. Magic quickly found themselves in foul trouble everywhere, and it made things easy in the early going. The fact that the Pistons quickly squandered that certainly didn't feel good. But then that second half, they started to rely on Cade, I guess, as simple as it is. They didn't really do much better as a team. They just relied on Cade. While the Magic relied on Paolo, and Cade's better. Paolo's great, but Cade's better. And we saw it tonight that Cade really is that guy, and he can really pull his team along in a spot like that. A Pistons franchise record for the most points in a playoff game with 45 is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. How can they get the pick and roll going with Duren? I need to see it with Asar to keep Asar effective offensively, but how can they get it going with Duren? You saw that and one at the end of the game, where Duren caught the lob from Cade. Carter got a piece of him. He somehow got it to go. If you can get that pick and roll going early, whether it be some sort of getting around that high point pressure that Orlando's done a really good job of applying, that can get Duren going. That can allow Cade some time to relax because he is pushing himself on that formerly collapsed lung. You can tell he's tired. You can see it at the end of the games when the lackadaisical turnovers start, which I would love to see those limited, but with the current usage that Cade is at, if he's going to play the way he did tonight, I'll allow for the turnovers. We will look back at what could possibly be a loss because of those turnovers, but we will also say we wouldn't be here without Cade's usage being where it is. So, someone needs to get going. Harris is doing his job. What we need is someone who's supposed to be better. And that means pretty much one of two guys, Jalen Duren or Dennis Jenkins. Because Duren looks like a shell of himself. I'm not sure if it's the physicality of this specific matchup or just the nature of playoff basketball in general that's going to make it really tough on him to handle a little bit and try and create some shots or at least get into his bag. The rebounding looked a lot better tonight. Even the rebounding hasn't looked great from him. That's what makes me think it's the physicality of Orlando and the size of Orlando. And I'm really hoping it's just that in a tough matchup for him because you need him to get going. And then Jenkins has to be better running that second unit. He's done a good job taking care of the ball, but you got to hit some of those wide open shots. If you're not hitting those wide open shots, it's just holding on until it blows up with Cade on the bench. And if Cade needs to be on the floor the entire time, he starts to struggle. He starts to turn the ball over. You're no longer winning that possession battle that is so important that Asar is creating for you. That's the reason he's on the floor, to win you those extra possessions, because you are not an offensively efficient team. That's why he's so important to this squad. The rebounding he provides, 15 of them tonight, the 5 steals, the 2 blocks. That's where he gets his net rating from. That's where he gets his plus minus from. And then when he attacks downhill, that is the perfect version of this current Asar Thompson that we have right now. That is perfect play from this version of him. And we need that. Now, I don't think it's going to be as easy in Orlando. They won't shoot as good, sure. But Bane will play better. Franz might be available. Suggs will play better. Carter will play better. They won't get into early foul trouble. They're not going to give you the gifts they gave you to start this game and to finish it. So you got to take care of the ball. Taking care of the ball comes first because we need those extra possessions. Now, taking care of the ball mostly relies on Cade, but it doesn't have to. If Jenkins can get things going, if Dennis can get things going, Cade doesn't need to dribble the ball 1,000 times. And that's what the Pistons need. They need to give him a break. He just needs a break. They need to hold on while he takes that break because not only are you asking him to do it for another 48 minutes, but there's another 48 minutes after that. The Pistons need to be able to go to Orlando on the shortest rest of this series so far, win that game after Cade just put in that superhero legend effort. He needs to do it again, and then he needs to be ready to do it one more time. And it ultimately comes down to Duren and Jenkins relieving some of that pressure on him. Because the rest of the guys have done it really well. They've done their jobs. They've done what they're there to do. Yeah, sure, there are some weaknesses that you wish you didn't have. Duncan Robinson getting beat defensively or, the lack of shooting off the bench. But you got to support Cade. Because he showed you tonight that he is legendary. He is all-time. He is built for this moment. And it's just about helping Cade. It's just about helping him. Paolo Banchero was great tonight. I don't know if he'll make that many shots again, so that'll play in the Pistons' favor, but he was awesome. If Franz Wagner is back, it is going to be really tough on Cade. And that is when that release point, that help is really going to be needed. Because they didn't have it tonight, but they didn't need it with him being guarded by Jamal Cain, Desmond Bane, Paolo Banchero, guys who he has an advantage over. He'll still beat Wagner more often than not, but it's not going to be as efficient. And it needs to be as efficient because this team does not have possessions to waste. It'd be nice to have those possessions to waste again, and that's where Jenkins, Asar, and Duren have to do their job. Because the rest of these guys are doing a good job creating those possessions. Rather not see Asar turn it over 5 times, but you get 5 steals, we can live with it. It needs to be better, though. It needs to be better. So, I feel good about the win. I didn't feel great. I didn't feel great. I don't feel like this team really changed much. I think it was just Cade hero ball and a lack of Franz. I really liked seeing what we saw, but like I was just saying, there's a lot to be worked on and executed against Orlando in Orlando if it's going to happen. The first half was not good. The Pistons were gifted a lot. And the second half was Cade Cunningham hero ball. He got the Pistons there. And I still think they win this series, as crazy as that sounds. Because I do think they're the better team. I think they're very closely matched up teams. I think it's much closer than we all would have guessed at the beginning of the series. But it's a good team. The Pistons are just a little bit better. And they need to show that in Orlando so they can put all the pressure on the Magic when they come back to Little Caesars Arena and that crowd can get into it. So, legendary performance from Cade. That was a blast to watch. That's why you love having a franchise guy like that. But you need the support. If you want to win playoff series, you need the support. There are plenty of great players in the NBA. There aren't plenty of All-NBA first-teamers. I'm not saying that. But there are plenty of great players, and you got to be able to support him. You got to be able to coach around him. You got to be able to play defense next to him. You got to help him out. Because Cade just showed you he will you to the finish line if he has to. I got the Pistons winning this series. I got Cade willing them to the finish line of Game 7. But it's not going to be easy, and improvements need to be made that I think they will make in Orlando on Friday.